Good Friday morning. I'm KHOU 11 meteorologist Chris Ramirez. Here is the latest update on Beryl as it's moving inland across the Yucatan Peninsula. This is as of the 7 a.m. advisory. Winds have weakened to 100 miles an hour. It is moving west-northwest at 15 miles an hour as it's coming into contact with the landmass that is the Yucatan Peninsula. That's going to do a good job at cutting off its fuel source in the coming hours. So we are expecting that to weaken into a tropical storm later on today as it's moving across the Yucatan Peninsula in and around near Tulum, Cozumel area. Those are those popular destinations that folks like to go to for vacation. They're dealing with the impacts of a Category 2 hurricane at the current moment, but that is going to definitely move off towards the west. It's going to weaken into a tropical storm by 1 p.m. with 70 miles an hour. But the key moment that we're waiting on here across Texas is once it reemerges back over open water. That is going to be occurring around Saturday morning. Once that happens, we're going to have a better understanding of where this storm is going to be headed and its impacts that could be felt widespread. It's the reason why you see a very wide cone across Texas, pretty much encompassing all of Texas. And that's the reason, because there is some degree of uncertainty with the storm as it makes its way across the Yucatan. So depending on how well or how bad the storm holds up, that's where we're going to have a better understanding of what's going to be happening as we head into Sunday night into early Monday morning. However, the National Hurricane Center's latest forecast track has this strengthening briefly back into a Category 1 hurricane, making landfall somewhere between Brownsville and Corpus Christi. So unfortunately, we're seeing a slight northern shift of this track from what we saw last night, but something to keep an eye on, that there is still some uncertainty. The reason being is that you have that wide cone that's across much of Texas. It's going to remain tropical storm force strength by Tuesday morning, heading up towards Corpus, Alice, even San Antonio might be dealing with the impacts of tropical storm rain and some possible winds, eventually weakening into a tropical depression as we head into Wednesday morning. However, rain chances very well likely for us here all across the southern half of the state. Looking at the latest model plots, they're sort of all over the place when it comes to the Texas coast. It's important to note to not really keep an eye on one particular model, but we're just waiting for that key moment once it reemerges on the other side of the Yucatan Peninsula before we get a better understanding. And that's when we might see that cone start shrinking as it nears the Texas coast at the current moment. But models in agreement that it's going to be well across South Texas. I know you see some models taking it into the Houston area, but just keep in mind that very well could see this remain south of us as we go into the next few days. So no matter how far south the landfall will be, we're going to see widespread impacts all over the Gulf Coast, especially for us here along our coastal beaches in and around Galveston. So expect those high rip current risk along the coast. That's going to be occurring Sunday into Tuesday, likely lasting through Wednesday. We could see some coastal flooding and beach erosion, sort of similar to what we saw with Alberto. However, this storm's a bit stronger than what Alberto was, so we're also expecting those increasing rain chances next weekend into next week. So it's always important to keep an eye on the latest weather forecast and the latest updates. You can always find those latest updates on KHOU.com as well as on the KHOU 11 app.